'Tis the season for smoothies? Let me explain. The end of the year is where everyone's talking about sharing and caring and caring and sharing, and it's on everybody's mind. And being with family if you can. And it reminded me of a conversation I had with my wife about smoothies. And stick with me, it'll all make sense in the end. You see, my wife used to work at Jamba Juice, now just called Jamba, and she shared something with me that I thought was super interesting. When customers, or say two friends, ordered the same flavor smoothie, say two 16-ounce mango Go-Go's, and my wife made them in the same machine and then split it, she claimed it actually tasted better than if someone just ordered one for themselves. Now, at first, it sounded a bit crazy, like how could the same recipe, just made in a bigger batch, taste different? But it turns out she was right. And I have a feeling that you have felt this way too. Like when it comes to your family's big pot of stew, soup, chili, or making a large batch of your grandmother's tomato sauce. Bigger batches tend to taste better. But why? Let me break down the 3 things making bigger batches taste better using smoothies as an example. All right, so to start with a few things, I should say that my wife was in college working at Jamba and was slinging probably thousands of drinks to customers in the time that she worked there. And if you ever worked at a place like that, there's always like a little bit left over for the workers to enjoy. You know, the stuff that sort of like sits at the bottom of the blender. This is pineapple juice. Okay, and so she noticed that by tasting hundreds of smoothies over and over, you know, but she did want to assure me that it wasn't mainly the taste, okay? It was the consistency or the texture of the smoothie. They use sherbet. I'm using vanilla ice cream. All right, and what I want to say is that it just tasted better. The smoothie was smoother. All right, so now for me, it seems like the obvious. The recipe for the smoothie is slightly different from a fruit to liquid ratio. Making a 16-ounce drink may require a minimum amount of liquid to get the blender going to create the proper vortex action. So smaller batches often require proportionally more liquid to create the proper vortex action in the blender, and that minimum liquid requirement doesn't scale linearly with batch size. So you only need a little more liquid in a bigger sized smoothie to get that fruit tornado started. So with a 32-ounce smoothie, it's probably just less diluted. In fact, I spoke with Jamba employees and they said that they use 1 scoop of ice for the small and that same scoop of ice for the large. Not bad. But there's a little more science to it all. First, there's something called the snowball effect. There is no snow in LA. Give me a second. Oh, okay. I will do you later. The snowball effect. What scientists call the snowball effect of thermal mass. Think about 2 snowballs in the sun. A big one and a small one. Which melts faster? The small one, right? The same thing happens with smoothies. A bigger batch stays at a better and cooler temperature longer, while a smaller batch heats up too quickly from the blender's friction. When ingredients stay at the right temperature, they keep their texture and flavor better. The same thing happens with hot food, by the way, just in reverse. A big pot of soup or sauce holds its temperature longer, which keeps everything tasting richer and more cohesive. The fats are more emulsified and the aromas are more present and the flavors are more apparent. That's part of why family-style food just feels better to eat, even the next day, because the bigger batch allows all of that to integrate more with itself. Which brings me to my second point. Bigger batches, for example, with the smoothies have more fruit, so it helps average out the ingredient variation. I thought about this a lot, and let's just say you're using some strawberries, and some aren't as sweet as others. In a small batch, you might notice it less, but in a bigger batch, there is just more sweeter strawberries to help balance it out. And again, it goes for tomato sauce as well. I mean, tomatoes are also fruit, so basically it's the same example. All right, and finally, there's the science of bubbles and mixing. Basically, the physical chemistry. Bigger batches trap tiny air bubbles better and keep ingredients mixed more evenly. The best analogy I could think of is how a big bubble bath stays fluffy longer than a smaller one. Sorry, I don't have a bath in my garage. I have kids, and I know sometimes you just gotta add way more bubble soap to keep that thing going strong. So when my wife says sharing a 32-ounce smoothie tastes better than an individual 16-ounce one, she's actually right. Sharing isn't just caring. Science says it tastes better. But Alex, what does this have to do with sharing? It just means bigger smoothies are better. I'll just buy myself a bigger smoothie. That's fair. But remember, 'tis the season. You see, my point of this video now is that it's not just about better tasting smoothies, it's about better experiences and a reminder about how spending time with family and friends is so important. Now, I read this book a while ago, but in their book, Happy Money, The Science of Happier Spending, researchers Elizabeth Dunn and Michael Norton found that spending money on others brings more happiness than spending on ourselves. They discovered that even buying a friend a simple coffee created more joy than buying one for yourself. Now, this isn't a video about buying expensive things. It's quite the opposite. It had wheels. Look, my point isn't about buying stuff, but sharing stuff. I mean, think about sharing a 32-ounce smoothie. You're not just getting a better tasting drink thanks to the science we just discussed, you're also creating a shared experience. Yes, you both have to agree on the flavor, but that moment of collaboration and then sharing something that actually tastes better, that's a double win. And here's a bonus. Sometimes it's often a little cheaper and more affordable. Look, nowadays, Jamba Juices are only about 24 ounces and about $10.29 or $10.99, while two 16-ounce ones are $8.99 each. So you're getting a better tasting drink and a shared experience, and saving a bit of money, all in the name of happiness. So I read the book a while back, but one of the main takeaways was spending money on experiences and not material goods. And this video or idea was a bit of a middle ground to that. In a time of year where the holidays feel completely commercialized, just remember to find ways to connect with people in smaller, more meaningful ways. The research shows that these small acts of sharing and spending on others strengthen social bonds. So next time someone suggests splitting a larger smoothie, maybe consider it. Save a little, and yeah, maybe you aren't getting as much if you got your own, but it will taste better. Or consider having more potluck dinners with friends. When your friend makes a huge batch of soup and offers to share, remember, they're not just being nice, they're actually giving you a scientifically superior product. Sharing really is caring. Tree looks nice. I'm wishing you all a happy holidays and a happy new year. Thanks for all your support and checking out my videos. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, we got some work to do.